Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers have signed Kaapo Kakko to a one-year contract extension. So this was done very quickly. Kakko, who is a restricted free agent, they come to an agreement, and it is for $2.4 million. That is the cap hit. So that was actually the qualifying offer. So he accepts the qualifying offer. He had been under a 2-year deal with a $2.1 million cap hit. So a small bump. And look, the conversation with Kakko now isn't really too different than it was a couple years ago. So a few summers ago, he gets a 2-year extension, really, and coming off of a Game 6 elimination game scratch against the Tampa Bay Lightning. This year, it was a Game 2 healthy scratch against the Florida Panthers. He would then come back into the lineup for the next 4 games. But for Kakko, this signing doesn't necessarily give us any real information as far as whether he'll be here this season or be traded. Like, he could still for sure be traded this offseason. My hunch is that he'll be back. Again, it is somewhat up in the air, but my guess would be that they run this back again with Kakko. But look, this is a critical year for him. And he'll be a restricted free agent again, like next offseason. So he would still be under team control. So as much as this is it is a make or break year for Kakko, like, it's not as if he'd be an unrestricted free agent. The Rangers would still retain his rights. So I think this is, kind of a deal that makes sense for both sides, because I think both parties are interested in, moving forward. But at the same time, I think the Rangers are aware that, it hasn't really worked out with Kakko as much as they would have wanted it to, and they don't really know if it will in the future. And then for Kakko himself, he could probably use a change of scenery too. So to go 1 year and kind of, just move, it's not much of a change. Again, it was $2.1 million. Now it's 2.4. So it's a reasonable deal, in my opinion. Now, if you're very anti-Kaapo Kakko, you'll disagree with that. But really, $2.4 million is not a whole hell of a lot, even as underwhelming as he's been as a #2 pick. It's not really going to damage you from a cap saving standpoint. But this past season was definitely disappointing. And, health for him at times has been a little bit of a concern. Back in 2022, he had an injury that cost him basically half the season. And then this past season, he had an injury that pretty much cost him maybe a quarter of the season. So it's not as if he stayed fully healthy either, which isn't great. Although when I think of him, I don't think of someone I wouldn't label him as injury prone just yet, but it has been a little bit of a thing. But he ends up playing 61 games, 13 goals, only 6 assists and 19 points. He was a +6, and in the playoffs, 15 games, 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points and a -4. So, again, the offensive stats are not good. Now, this is the interesting thing is this, like, the 2022 season, he plays all 82 games. He has 18 goals, 22 assists, 40 points, a +12. And in the 7-game series versus the Devils, a goal and an assist. So not much to speak of there. But like, the regular season, not terrible when you consider the fact that, like, he doesn't get much power play time. So, like, he really did take a step back. And there were high hopes for Kakko heading into the season. He did get that initial chance to play with Zibanejad and Kreider. And we've talked about it ad nauseum, where blame goes to Zibanejad and Kreider as well. But Kakko still couldn't take advantage of that situation. I still think that he can be a very effective third-line player with the chance of kind of moving around in the lineup. So again, it's all about perspective here. And if they did trade him, I would be open to that. I would. It's gotten to I said this at the end of the season, where it's to the point now where in the right move, I think you have to consider it. But I also think that I wouldn't just give up on him. He's 23 years old. He's been elite now for 5 seasons. So, like, you kind of know what he is as a player. But I still think there's a lot more there that we just haven't seen, even if it's not going to be anywhere near where he was drafted. Because I don't think that we're going to get that. That I feel strongly about. I don't think he'll replicate anything close to the hopes and dreams that there was when he was drafted second after Jack Hughes in the 2019 draft. However, I thought that 2022 playoffs with the kid line was a good one for him, obviously with Lafreniere and Hedl. And, again, that 2023 season, while it wasn't eye-popping, it was pretty good. And he took a step back. 13 goals in 61 games, that isn't so awful, to be honest with you. But the 19 points in 61 games, that's the worst pace. That is his lowest points per game that he's had in any of the 5 seasons. That is even worse than his rookie year by a little bit. His rookie year, which was a struggle for him, 66 games, 23 points. This is 61 games, 19 points. So it even falls short of that. So, and in part it's a byproduct of, again, not getting much power play time, which he never really had that much power play time to begin with. Probably now even less than it had been previously, but it still was never that much to begin with. And then also, he did settle into a third line role. But again, he had that chance before he got hurt, and he didn't take advantage of it. So for Kakko, I hope that for him, the mindset is trying to get better with foot speed. He needs to again, he'll never be a speed dynamo. That's not going to be his game, but he's got to keep up just a little bit more. I hope that he gets a little bit more penalty kill time. I think that he is a responsible defensive player. I know there's a lot of good candidates on this forwards-wise on this team, so it's tough for Kakko to crack that top 6. But I think it's reasonable for him to at least be given a shot there, especially if he's not going to get that much power play time. I think why not see what he can do on the PK? So that'll be interesting to see. Again, I don't think it'll be a big time role, but I think just a little bit, kind of like what you see maybe with Jimmy Vesey, where he doesn't play a crate. Well, I guess it depends. Sometimes he does, but think even Alex Wenberg, who was kind of part of a third duo. Because obviously, it's going to be Zibanejad, Kreider. If Goodrow's on the team, he's going to be getting the lion's share of opportunities. But I got to think, I don't know, maybe try him. I guess Trocheck was with Goodrow. All I'm saying is that I think that is something that they should explore just to give him a little bit more ice time. But for Kakko, look, we could be talking about a situation in a few weeks where I'm on here talking about a trade that involves Kakko. That is very much on the table still. We don't know. But my guess, and just based on what Chris Drury had said, and you can't read too much into those press conferences at the end of the season, it seems as if that there is a chance that he will stay with the team. And I know there's a lot of different opinions among the fan base. And look, I just hope that Drury makes the best decision possible. If that means trading him, then trade him. If that means sticking with him, then I think that there is a path forward here. So again, Kakko signs a 1-year contract extension for $2.4 million. That was the qualifying offer that was accepted. And so now next year, you kind of just, move it forward because he will be a restricted free agent at the end of next season. So another decision will have to be made a year from now if he's still on the team. And this is a really big year for Kakko. He really needs to step up and really needs to prove himself and solidify himself as someone that can be a part of the New York Rangers moving forward. So we'll see what happens. But again, it has been announced that the Rangers and Kaapo Kakko have agreed to a 1-year contract extension.